Bom dia to friends far and wide. This is Kristen from Anywhere with Kristen, and I am very, very interested to get your thoughts and opinions on the last week. So I want to start this episode by saying that the nerds are here. My husband and my son, who we lovingly call the nerds in our family because the interest that these guys have in super nerdy board games that use a lot of strategy and critical thinking, the sci-fi movie marathons that can go on for hours and hours and hours, the science fiction cons and podcasts. It's a lot for this Jersey girl who likes fashion and travel. But after 28 years of sucking air with my husband and producing our male heir child, I am happy to say that they have finally arrived here in Portugal to our little Portuguese villa in the central Portuguese countryside. So I'm having a bit of a mental crisis, and that is this. For many of you who've been watching me, you know that for the past 3 years in the States prior to coming here, I've been downsizing. We went from a 23-acre hospitality complex, bed and breakfast, event venue, huge house with all the things, to narrowing it down to a 2-bedroom townhouse. And now we moved here. So I came here with one 50-pound bag and a dog. My husband came 3 weeks later with two 70-pound bags. That was it. Oh, and my son, he came with two 70-pound bags too. So everything to our name that we had in the States that we bought with us had to fit in one of those bags. I didn't realize it until I had gotten beyond the buying housewares things, which I kind of view as a necessity. Like, you have to have plates, you have to have napkins, you have to have, a pitcher for water. Once I got past those kinds of things, then it was time to think about clothing and shoes and things that you wear or you use on a regular basis. But here is the brain bender. I've conditioned myself after 3 years of getting rid of stuff, of purging stuff, and really doing the Swedish death cleaning that looks like this. If I have something and I hold it in my hand and I realize either A, that I will not use this thing for the next 6 months, or it does not bring me any joy at all, you get rid of it. You consign it, you sell it, you give it away, whatever. Now, here's the challenge in moving here. I've moved here. I've bought the things that are necessary for a house. And now I have very little clothing at all. And it is like 90 degrees every day since we got here, no rain. So we're kind of in like a drought. And I don't have enough clothes. I really don't. I've said it many times in my life. I have nothing to wear. I don't have any shoes for this outfit. But now, it's real. I have no clothes. As fast as I'm washing things, I'm wearing them, and then I'm washing them, and then I'm wearing them right away. It's a first world problem, I know, but the point is that I've conditioned my brain not to buy. And now I'm giving my brain permission to buy things that are appropriate for the culture. For example, people tend to dress more modestly and conservatively here than they do in the United States. You don't see a lot of people in 90 degrees of weather wearing tank tops or biker pants or short skirts. Everything's very loose fitting and flowing. So these are the kinds of things that I'm now buying. I never bought that kind of stuff. Well, I don't want to say that. Then it sounds like I've been wearing hoochie mama clothes for my whole life. But it's a different style than what I'm used to, but I want to blend and I want to be appropriate in the culture. So I kind of feel like it's more of a bohemian look, more of like Indian influences here, you know, clothing that you might see people wearing, like walking on the beach at night, loose fitting and flowing stuff. So I'm trying not to be frustrated with myself. I went shopping with a new friend here, Cassandra. She knows all the shops, all the boutiques. The lady knows her stuff. She said, oh, I'll take you shopping. Any excuse to shop is good for me. And we went, and like, I was talking myself out of everything, even things that I could use. And finally, she was like, you realize that this is the price you have to pay for relocating. Can you think of it that way instead of in the way that, oh, you know, I'm lavishly spending. I've already spent so much money to get here, to get a house, to relocate my life. Can you just think of it as another price that you pay to invest in your relocation to Portugal? And that really hit me as something that made sense in my brain. But I'm going to be honest, I'm still struggling to buy stuff. I think it's getting easier, I think in part because I'm really tired of wearing the same clothes. Oh, first world problems for real. And no, this is not wine at noon. This is lemongrass tea, as a matter of fact. It just happens to be in a big glass because I didn't buy new glasses yet, and this is what they had. But anyway, so I have a mint patch and a lemongrass patch and other herb type things. So I've been boiling everything into tea and dumping sugar in it. And I find it refreshing on a summer day. But my nerds, they tend to prefer Diet Coke and Sprite. The nerds don't love my lemongrass tea like I do, and they prefer soda. So there's that, but it's fine. Okay, guys, so here's the scoop with the address that we live in. So the contract for the house had one address. And then another document had a slightly different address. And when we went to go get the residency certificate, guess what? They don't have either address on file. They had to go through with a satellite thing and talk to us, and it was an hour-long process of figuring out where the heck we live. Long story short, the address that we were both provided for the contract and that we could find online and the one that's connected to everything else are all wrong. We had to have that officially fixed, and we had to have an addendum made, and that had to be signed and sealed by the government office. It also explains why we couldn't get Starlink, which is a satellite internet connection that gives great reliability, and we are quite far out here in the country. It also explains why Amazon Spain could not find our house, thank you very much, because they had the wrong address too. So this past week, it's been like the mystery of where we live. When you move somewhere, you honestly don't know what end is up. You don't really feel like you know where you live anyway. And this only solidified the fact that, frankly, not only do we have no idea where we live, but we also have other people and government offices and documents that also don't know where we live. So thank the Lord that got fixed. We got the addendum. It was signed. It was sealed. It was given a make, model, and SKU number. And now we know where we live. So that's good. The nerds are getting acclimated to the house. There's a lot here, as I mentioned in a previous episode. There's a lot of land. The house is quite large, and the grounds are not only large, but also expansive. So for example, we have many different types of fruit trees, nut trees. Some blossom here, some get harvested there. And just like figuring out how all of that works and when it works. In the area of Pennsylvania where we live, we don't have fruit trees that are the same type that are here in sunny Portugal, which gets an average of 300 days of sunshine a year. So just kind of learning and like trying some fruit that wasn't like really ripe enough yet, and then having to pay for it in the bathroom. Like, you know, like we're just doing our best, guys. We're just doing our best. So we got together with the local expat community of the towns nearby in which we live, of Fatima and Ourense. Ourense. Oh, it's really hard to pronounce that. Anyway, it looks like O-U-R-E-M, which if you're an English speaker, looks like Orem, but it is pronounced Ourense. Anyway, we got together with this group at this gorgeous little restaurant built within the castle walls of Outing. And it was so interesting because there were probably 8 couples there, 9 couples, and they come from all walks of life. There was a couple from Israel, a couple from California, a couple from Canada and Mexico. There was another couple from out in the Midwest and the far West, and another lady from New Jersey. So we bonded in our Jersey ways. But one thing that we all had in common was that we were all looking for a slower pace of life. And we chose Portugal for a variety of reasons. Some for the lifestyle change, some for the economics, and a lot of people were just looking for something fresh. We were the youngest couple of the group, but there were a lot of very active people in their early 60s and, just raring to go, ready to enjoy life, to love life, to explore the world around them. You didn't hear a lot of the oftentimes head trash that we hear in the States about how stuck we are and how, this is the way it is and I hate my job, but I need to stay and everything is this and that. I feel like in general, expats are more hopeful. Not that they love the political climate of our country for those who are American, on the contrary, but there is just a sense of it's my life and I am going to make the most of this life that I have left to live with the person I love in an environment that I enjoy. And that's a little different than many people in my world back home, where it just is like, this is your lot. This is what you've been given. And if this isn't working for you, you just suck it up and make the best of it. These expats are not like that in my experience. There's a sense that you control your own destiny within reason. And that even when it's hard, even when it's inconvenient, even when things don't work out the way you want, you take charge of your own life. And I find that very exceptionally encouraging. As we embark on this new journey for ourselves of living here in central Portugal, helping our son to get acclimated in the Polytechnic University here, exploring the world around us, meeting new friends, seeing new things, essentially building our own future history. I want to build my own future history. I don't want my future history to be made for me as much as possible. I want to make wise decisions, thoughtful decisions with my husband, looking at the aspects, looking at it logically and strategically. But at the end of the day, you and I, all of us, have decisions to make that can give us a higher quality of life or not, no matter where we live and no matter what part of the world that we find ourselves in based on our history. So I am excited for the upcoming weeks ahead to do this alongside of my husband, Scott, and my son, Kiefer. We are kind of doing this together. We're all on the same train. It's really refreshing because earlier I was kind of on a different train getting dual citizenship. My husband was kind of in a separate train and we're kind of tracking alongside of each other. Like my nails, I just got them done. We're tracking alongside of each other, but our trains are different. Now we're all on the same train together and we are going to be moving forward into the unknown. And in a lot of ways, things will work out as we expect. And then in other ways, they more than definitely will not. But I'm hanging on for the ride. We can only go forward in life with our best knowledge at the time when we make decisions. And so I hope that for you, wherever you are, whatever you're doing or whatever challenges or future things you're facing, go with what you know right now. We can't know the future. We can't know what's going to happen next. But be smart about making your decisions as I'm trying to make mine and my husband's trying to make his, my son's trying to make it. We're all doing our best with what we know today. So let that be a comfort. Let that be something that encourages and inspires you as you look at continuing to live your own life. Hey, thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you on a next episode. Take care.